very briefly, the reason why milk is now pasteurized, and there's this big vendetta against raw milk, is really historical. We talked about the distilleries. Remember, in the mid-1800s, the whiskey distilleries were located right beside the milk, the dairies, and so the whiskey waste would be fed to the cows, and this whiskey waste then started contaminating the cow's milk, and the milk from the cows then was toxic, was awful, and the children started getting sick, and there were milk epidemics. And because of this situation in the 1800s, there was this epidemic of milk sickness, and the childhood death rate in the US went up. Now, what happened? At about the same time, pasteurization started. So they discovered that pasteurization would kill germs. They pasteurized the milk, and lo and behold, the children didn't get sick. They wiped out the milk epidemic. And so the pasteurization plants grew and became big business. At the same time, however, the farmers were rebelling because they didn't want their milk pasteurized. And they said, if we're not located beside these whiskey waste distilleries that feed the whiskey waste to the cows, then the milk would not be contaminated and the children wouldn't get sick. And essentially, they proved that. However, by that time, 10 years had passed, the pasteurization plants had been erected, and business was flourishing in pasteurization. So the people who owned the pasteurization plants then would have campaigns against the raw milk farmers because they wanted to sell their pasteurized milk. And it became a business fight rather than a nutrition fight. And because the business interests were behind the pasteurization, the raw milk farmers, the raw dairy farmers lost. Because there used to be what they called certified milk. And they're coming back to it now. Certified milk was accepted as legally, it was legally accepted as a health measure by the health departments because certified milk was not contaminated by this whiskey waste. So they were selling pasteurized milk and certified milk. But the pasteurization people put the certified people out of business, like they're doing with raw milk dairy farmers now. Okay, so the big business really in the end, the big pasteurization business caused the raw milk to decline rather than any further epidemics. Once they solved the sanitation problem, the whiskey waste problem, and there was no more nutrition problem, it was too late because the pasteurization interests then took over. Okay, that's the history of it, essentially. There's a lot of, if you want to read about it, there's a lot of documentation about all of this. It's not just some ideology.